PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
The PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
The PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
PG bloggers.
PG bloggers. The PG bloggers, man. The PG GOAT with the PG bloggers. Please don't say the John if you ain't saying it twice. If you don't add the Don, you ain't saying it right.
This is PG Bloggers. We got the legend here. We got Iron Solomon. What's going on, my brother?
Chilling, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Good. I want to start off with asking you, just since 2017 kind of wrapped up, were you satisfied with your 2017?
Yes and no. I mean, there's a lot of controversy around the Arsenal battle, and like, I felt regretful about the stuff that I said in the battle that, was hurtful to people, and Mac is kind of like beat me up a little bit, and like I obviously wanted to win, but I feel good. Obviously, ending the year with the Nitty battle was dope, and the response that got, and being back on Smack, and the year before that, King of the Dot gave me and Diz battle of the year for our battle. And then now people are, mostly saying me and Nitty's battle of the year for 2017. So for me to I came back because I wanted to reestablish where I felt like I belonged in the culture, and not just from a vanity standpoint of I'm not seeing my name on these lists. I need to be I feel like I deserve more credit than this, but also because hip hop in general, and I think battle rap in particular, is very short-term memory. So as soon as you do something that's not at 100%, it's he was always whack. You know what I mean?
So what have you done for me lately?
Exactly, and then they want to we as a community want to wipe away to be actually, matter of fact, the shit, it was always a whack. We just bought it back then that it was dope, but it was always whack. And so for myself personally, I wanted to be all right, they're trying to some people are trying to discredit me. Let me just prove it to myself too, that if I had it back then and it wasn't some fluke that they're trying to say, then I should be able to do it again. And so for me to come back, and then I've been back 2.5 years, and it's 2015 I battled Daylight, and then 2016 I get Battle of the Year on King of the Dot, and then 2017 I get Battle of the Year on URL. I mean, for me that was boom, you know what I mean? That makes me feel you can't really argue. You can't now go back and look at the moments that I've had and the times that I've shifted the culture or had defining moments in battle rap or brought types of wordplay or angles to the table that have been repeated through the years and discredit that now. You have to put it in the lens of me and Nitty shifted the culture again. You know what I mean? And now you see what Volume 2 looks like. And not to be me taking credit for that entirely, but you have to know that a big part of the excitement about Volume 1 came from the response to that battle. And that's part of I was there, and we were 3-4 battles in, and it wasn't until we went that Beasley's showing me texts from all the people that are on a card now, yo, I want in. You know what I mean? So I feel good. I feel really good about the way the year ended up. I'm always going to be critical of the things I could do better, but I feel really good about I feel like I'm back to zero.
Clean slate.
Clean slate of where I felt I fell from. I think when I battled Mook, there would have been no question that it was I was on Mount Rushmore with Mook and with Lux, and Lux had the the performance of the night at Summer Madness, but he was the undercard to me and Mook. You know what I'm saying? And so I feel people aren't going to right away put me in that category across the board, but I just feel I'm right back there in the conversation. So now I can kind of get back to work, to do what I'm trying to achieve. Yeah. In terms of the whole legacy. You know what I mean?
Right. So from the Mook battle, do you think it was worth that hiatus from that battle and then coming back to battle Daylight? I believe was that your first battle back? Was that worth a hiatus to you?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't, after the Mook battle, I kept pushing with music, because music was my main focus at that time. And like I took the Mook battle because I had been chasing him for years, and that battle had been supposed to happen for years, and I felt like, fuck, if I don't do this now, it's gonna look crazy if I don't take this. So I already was kind of, and I felt like that was gonna be the end cap of the legacy. Like if we have a dope battle, then it's solidified. Like that's the end boss. And if we do well in this battle together, then that's my legacy, and I can just focus on music. You know what I mean? That's how I felt going into it. And then I kept doing music after the Mook battle, and after a while, you know, just life, I was like, man, it just shifted my priorities. You know what I mean? I was having a kid and wife who was like super ride or die, while I was like, you know, dead broke in the, you know, working on the weekends, in the studio on the weeknights, never see each other, can't go on vacations. Just my whole life was about music, and at a certain point, my relationship with music changed, because when you're at a certain age and you have to pay the bills and you're competing with other people in the same field, it becomes something that's, at least for me, it became something that was like, now I'm resentful of my peers, or I go online and look at, you know, when Kendrick was first coming out, when, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't even want to hear these people's names, because I'm supposed to be on that blog, or I'm supposed to be on that list. And like, that's just, you know, to go from the kid that stayed up to 4 a.m. to tape Stretch and Bobbito and still has those tapes, where I'm like dying to get new music, to being somebody who's getting new music shoved in their face and I'm now rejecting it, just made me feel like, yo, like I need to shift my relationship with music right now, because this is not where I want to be at with it. And so I pretty much just was just like quit cold turkey, and was like, let me focus on, you know, my family, my personal, like, just well-being, financial stability, and I, you know, I have a business that I run, that I was running at that time, and was not taking as an active role in as I could have been. And was just like, let me get this business right, let me get my family situated, focus on being a, you know, husband to my wife, and then preparing to be a father to my son. And so yeah, it was good, because it just got me, you know, you sometimes lose the forest for the trees, and to step back and just like, I'm somebody, I like to challenge myself. You know, like we were just discussing, I moved to Florida for a year, now I'm in Philly. I did a lot of that stuff to be like, yo, let me put myself outside of my comfort zone and see if I can swim, you know what I mean? And like, just being like, let me change my whole life and see what that's like, was an important growth moment for me, to be like, oh shit, like I don't have to like, not like I don't have to be dedicated to hip hop like it's a burden, but like I'm always gonna be me. Like, you know, my closet still has all the, you know, just sweats, you know, shit I haven't had in high school. I'm the same person, but you know, I got cassette tapes in my CDs in my car and shit, and but let me just figure out, reprioritize. I don't think people always take the time to do that. So it was healthy for me to do that, change my relationship to it, and now, you know, to be back, it feels like a comeback story. That's like, it feels to me like I'm again doing something that nobody did before. You know what I mean? Nobody, like, at the time that I was going against Mook, like, who had made it to the point that I had? Like, it was really only like me and Mook and Lux and, you know, Sirius at one point. You know, Holla was locked up, and that kind of elevated his status. You know, just like how Surf is elevated now, but he wasn't quite Hollow then. So it was like, I'm in a category of, like, you know, at that moment maybe 5 people of all time, maybe 10, 15 people that raised to that level, and then to get knocked back down and then be climbing up back to that level again, to me just feels like, you know, it feels good. Feels good to be here. You know?
Right. So you mentioned Surf. He's home now.
Yeah, welcome home, Surf, man.
Yeah. Do you? I mean, a lot of people want to see him versus Mook, but I've actually heard, I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that he said he wants Nitty, and he'd rather take that over Mook. So how would you feel about that battle, Surf and Nitty?
I think that would be fire, and I think, I mean, I think people want to see Mook. You know what I mean? I think that Mook wants to battle rap too. You know, I think that Mook is a he's the greatest career strategist in battle.
You don't
rap.
think he's all talk?
I don't know that he's necessarily gonna end up doing these battles.
Right.
But when I say he wants to battle, I just mean that you don't get as good as he is or spend as many years in the game doing it if you don't love battle rap and love hip hop. You know what I mean? He is the GOAT branding, the GOAT career strategist. And to me, it's like people can be, the greatest in it. Like Busta Rhymes to me is one of if not the greatest MCs who uses his voice as an instrument and has like complete mastery from a tone, pitch, and rhythmic perspective. Right? He's not, to me, not like top 5 lyrical or any, like he's not my top 5 at all. But you think him, now Kendrick, Eminem is like, you know what I mean? He's probably the GOAT of that. Mook is the best career strategist in battle rap of all time. But that also paints him into a corner. And I've been in that corner. I was in that corner for years until I battled him.
Right.
Because it was like, yo, I'm trying to create this mythology and this branding and this narrative that launches my music career, and this is my main focus. And now that I'm, doing other stuff and I don't need to, I'm doing this really for me personally and for what I want to do creatively in this space. And it's not about a launching pad to a music career. It's not about, it's nice to have another stream of income, but I'm not, if I shut that faucet off, like I'm still good. So he is in a position where any battle he takes is like the most risky battle of his career ever, no matter what. And he's been in that position for a long time. And he, chose to go against me at a certain time in a certain context where he saw that it was safest for him, which was genius. He then, engaged with the Total Slaughter and rematched Lux, which again was a very safe scenario for him. Even if he loses, it's like, it's Lux, the person he's going against doesn't really lower his status. It might flip-flop them at the very, very top of the mountain, but it doesn't.
That's kind of what happened with Lux. I mean, Lux
Right.
lost the move, but still, Lux, people were holding him up
He's
there.
the
He
god
battled
still.
Clips,
Yeah.
and he battled
Exactly.
Arsenal. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So, like, I think he wants to battle, period, but he's torn between his desire to do it and wanting to make sure that he strategically facilitates the best scenario to do it. You know what I mean? So I think that it would be dope to pull him out because of how significant he is in the culture, and I think people are genuinely curious, And I know a lot of people didn't like the Total Slaughter battle. It was a shitty scenario, and he had a couple bars or moments that were like corny, but overall he took a really good approach. He had some bars that were right in pocket. He had tons of angles. Like, I actually thought both of them, from the point of view of what they created to go against each other, were dope. It's just the whole package wasn't there. So I think Mook would be great in a battle, and I think people are curious to see one way or another. It's the same thing where I say I feel like people try to discredit everything I do. They're sort of trying to do that to him right now, and I don't think that Mook is like, he's not trash. You know what I mean? Like, He's really good and he's a really smart dude, and it would be dope to see him. At the same time, I do think it's important for us to make new kings, and I think that Nitty deserves, for me, going in with Daylight, B Magic, Nitty, like obviously Ars, Diz, and Ilmac are like legends, but the other guys was a little more like unexpected, and for me, part of that was like a cosign of them to be like, I think this person is worthy from a lyrical, just like sharp MC standpoint, and then also me, like I look at it like a feature now. Like, I want a song with you. Like, when I see these guys with these bars in battles, I'm like, I want a video that I'm in where you saying some shit like that. on my track.
That's
you know
an interesting way to put it. I like
yeah,
it.
like that's how I really feel about it. I want to rap like all those people I've battled. There's something that they do that I want to emulate and be inspired by and rap like them.
So you wanted Nitty? Going,
Yeah.
Okay, so
The whole Nitty battle was my idea.
So did Smack call you?
No,
or you called Smack. You're like, I want Nitty.
Over a year ago, like, and King of the Dot, I kept them in the loop. I'm all about just being communicative and like, you know, Team Hami is like my family for real. Like, you know, Poison Pen, Swave, you know, rest in peace PH, like Moneybags, Sarah Kana, you know, like everybody is really like legit my family before, you know, a lot of other shit. Like I really, these are my friends for real. And I think I reached out to Swave and got Nitty's number from Swave or whatever it was, and I reached out to him first and was like, yo, your shit is fire. I'm gonna come back to URL. I've been talking about coming back to URL since I came back to King of the Dot. Like the conversation's been there from the beginning, and on both sides, I told them, hey, you know, I just want to be clear, like, I have always existed everywhere, and I always want to exist everywhere. And then you know, I've been talking to Beasley and them since the beginning. So yeah, I just reached out to Nitty and was like, yo, the way I want to come back into that realm is to start at the bottom, not from a, like, who's my opponent perspective, but from a, like, you know, the scale of an event. It's like, I headline Summer Madness. I don't want to just rest on what I did before and be like, let me get on a Summer Madness. I want to be like, put me in the barbershop on the, you know, put me in Black Star against the dead nice dude, and let's start there and let me work my way back up, just because that's how I felt like was the classiest thing to do, and because I wanted to prove myself again. So I didn't even know that they were like thinking of a Volume 1 type card when I reached out to them. And when I reached out to them, it was like, me and Nitty have already spoke and he's down, and I want to do this like in a sneaker shop or a barber shop, not even on a card. I was like, don't even announce it. Let's just do it and then just drop it, and it has nothing to do with a card. And they were like, yo, that sounds crazy. I think they were a little ambivalent, but then they also were like, we've been thinking about a concept for something sort of like that. And we kept talking about it, and they would throw other names at me or other events, Born Legacy, shit like that, because they knew that I wanted small room, and they were like, this is a small room, like, and I was like, you don't understand, like,
I want it small,
yeah,
like,
like,
as gritty as it can
get. And so, you know, yeah, I just wanted Nitty. He's super crazy fire, like, the way, you know, his wordplay is the way that I like to write. I like to get super technical, and I just thought it would
pushes
be dope.
your pen.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and not just that it pushes my pen, but it gives me the room to feel like what I want to do is going to be received. Because if I'm, you know, like, the crowd in Canada is a little bit different than the crowd in the U.S. Like, sometimes the King of the Dot crowds are like unpredictable in terms of how close to the center of battle rap the people in that room are going to be. Sometimes it's dope for them that they have people who are just like, you know, hot chicks that like hip hop that want to do some shit on a Friday night. That's kind of dope. At the same time, you know, from an event and branding perspective, that's really dope. For me, from a writing perspective, it makes me have to sometimes go in a direction that's not as technical. And if I'm going against somebody super technical in an environment that's looking for them to be super technical, it lets me be as technical as I want to be. You know what I mean? So it's like, I would want to battle like that every time.